Okay, let's pick back up with the reading of the collected poems of Lord Alfred Douglas, the infamous lover of Oscar Wilde. In Memoriam, Francis Archibald Douglas, Viscount Drumla-Rig, killed by the accidental explosion of his gun, October 18, 1894. Dear friend, dear brother, I have owed you this since many days, the tribute of a song. Shall I cheat you who never did wrong to any man? No. Therefore, though I miss all art, all skill in this short armistice, from my soul's war against the bitter throng of present woes, let these poor lines be strong in love, enough to bear a brother's kiss. Dear saint, true knight, I cannot weep for you, nor, if I could, would I call back the breath to your dear body. God is very wise. All that this year had in its womb he knew, and loving you, he sent his son like death to put his hand over your kind gray eyes. So this was Bosie's brother. He was like the good son of the family. He was the one who didn't get the crazy genes and who wasn't a mean person. And it's very sad that he accidentally died. Obviously, his mother was not happy. Okay. Going on. The image of death. I carved an image colored like the night, winged with huge wings, stern-browed and menacing, with hair caught back and diademed like a king. The left hand held a scepter, and the right grasped a sharp sword. The bitter marble lips were curled and proud. The yellow topaz eyes, each eyes like a jewel, stared in fearful wise. The hard, fierce limbs were bare, and from the hips a scourge hung down. And on the pedestal I wrote these words, "Oh, all things that have breath, this is the image of the great god, Death. Pour ye the wine and bind the coronel. Pipe unto him with pipes and flute with flutes. Woo him with flowers and spices odorous. Let singing boys with lips mellifluous make madrigals and lull his ear with lutes. Anon bring sighs and tears of harsh distress and weeping wounds. So haply ye may move a heart of stone, from breasts of hate suck love, or garner pity from the pitiless." Hello, Ya Ali. What does he say about Gooch? Agnes Gooch? I don't know. Yeah, no. Okay. So I really like that poem. I think that's my favorite so far. Ve Victus. Here in this isle the summer still lingers, and autumn's brown fingers, so busy the while with the leaves in the north, are scarcely put forth in this land, where the sun still glows like an ember in mid-November. In England it's cold, and the yellow and red of October have fled, and the sun is wet gold like an emperor weeping, when death goes a-reaping all through his empire. Merciless comer the dead things of summer. The sky has cried so that the earth is all sodden, with dead leaves introdden, and the trees to and fro wave their arms in the air in despair, in despair. They are thinking of all the hot days that are over, and the cows and the clover. Here the roses are out, and the sun at high noon makes the birds faint and swoon. but the crickets about with song and the hum of the bees as they come to feast at the honey board laden and groaning makes musical droning. But vainly, alas, do I hide in the south, kiss close with my mouth red flowers, green grass, for autumn has found me and throw her arms round me. She has breathed on my lips and I wander apart, dead leaves in my heart. So, it's funny because in the beginning of the book, um, it says, oh, by the way, these poems are in chronological order, and so, the better ones aren't at the beginning. And it's like, this wasn't a self-published book, I mean, some amateurs might put that now, but back then, it's like, somebody actually published that? I don't know. Anyway, I don't want to get too... Anyway. The Garden of Death. There's a lot about death, isn't there? There is an isle in an unfurrowed sea that I wot of, whereon the whole year round the apple blossoms and the rosebud be in early blooming, and many a sound of 10-stringed lute, and most mellifluous breath of silver flute, and mellow half-heard horn, making unmeasured music. Thither death coming like love takes all things in the morn of tenderest life, and being a delicate god, in his own garden takes each delicate thing unstained, unmellowed, immature, untrod, tremulous, betwixt the summer and the spring. The rosebud, ere it come to be a rose, the blossom, ere it win to be a fruit, the virginal snowdrop and the dove that knows only one dove for lover. All the lute of soft young things, and all the harvesting of unripe flowers. Never comes the moon to matron fullness, here no childbearing vexes desire, and the sun knows no noon. But all the happy dwellers of that place are reckless children, gotten on delight by beauty that is thrall to death. No grace, no natural sweet they lack, a chrysolite of perfect beauty each. No wisdom comes to mar their early folly, no false laws man made for man, no mouthing prudence numbs their green unthought, or gives their license pause. Young animals, young flowers, they live and grow and die before their sweet and blossomed breath has learned to sigh, save like a lover's. Oh, how sweet is youth, how delicate is death. Yeah, that one's nice. Hey X, I'm feeling lovely. How are you feeling? Praise Jesus. Yes, miracles are always good. We should have more miracles and more miracle workers in this world. That would be nice. Okay, to sleep. Ah, sleep. To me thou comest not in the guise of one who brings good gifts to weary men, balm for bruised hearts and fancies alien to unkind truth, and drawing for sad eyes. I dread the summons to that fierce assize of all my foes and woes that waits me when thou makest my soul the unwilling denizen of thy dim, troubled house where unrest lies. My soul is sick with dreaming, let it rest. False sleep, thou hast conspired with wakefulness, I will not praise thee. I too long beguiled with idle tales, where is thy soothing breast? Thy peace, thy poppies, thy forgetfulness, where is thy lap, for me so tired a child? I think these would be really great to rap, you know? What do you think? I think I need to set some of these to some beats. Ode to my soul. Rise up, my soul, shake thyself from the dust. Lift up thy head that wears an aureole, fulfill thy trust. Out of the mire, where they would trample thee, make images of clay, whereon, having breathed from thy divinity, let them take mighty wings and soar away right up to God. Out of thy broken past, where impious feet have trod, build thee a golden house, august and vast, where to these worms of earth may some day crawl. Let there be nothing small henceforth with thee. Take thou unbounded scorn of all their scorn, eternity of high contempt. Be thou no more forlorn, but proud in thy immortal loneliness and infinite distress. And being mid mortal things divinely born, rise up, my soul. Yeah, I'm liking it. Rejected. Ooh. Alas, I have lost my God, my beautiful God Apollo. Wherever his footsteps trod, my feet were wont to follow. But oh, it fell out one day, and my soul was so heavy with weeping that I laid me down by the way, and he left me while I was sleeping. And my soul awoke in the night, and I bowed my ear for his fluting, and I heard but the breath of the flight of wings and the night birds hooting. And night drank all her cup, and I went to the shrine in the hollow, and the voice of my cry went up, Apollo, Apollo, Apollo. But he never came to the gate, and in the sun was hid in a mist, and there came one walking late, and I knew it was Christ. He took my soul, and bound it with cords of iron wire. 7 times round he wound it with the cords of my desire. The cords of my desire, while my desire slept, were 7 bands of wire to bind my soul that wept. And he hid my soul at last in a place of stones and fears, where the hours like days went past, and the days went by like years. And after many days that which had slept awoke, and desire burnt in a blaze, and my soul went up in the smoke. And we crept away from the place and would not look behind. And the angel that hides his face was crouched on the neck of the wind. And I went to the shrine in the hollow where the lutes and the flutes were playing, and I cried, I am come, Apollo, back to thy shrine from my straying. But he would have none of my soul, that was stained with blood and with tears, that had lain in the earth like a mole, in the place of great stones and fears, and now I am lost in the mist of the things that can never be, for I will have none of Christ, and Apollo will none of me. Well, that's pretty interesting. Very interesting. Some of Oscar's poems are very pro JC, and Bosie here sort of, what does he say about JC? He binds my desires in wire. What is it? He took my soul and bound it with cords of iron wire 7 times round. He wound it with the cords of my desire, and it bound his soul, and he hid my soul. So he's saying that JC binds his soul and hid his soul, and so he doesn't like that. He wants to worship Apollo, but Apollo rejects him. How very sad. Okay, the traveling companion. Into the silence of the empty night I went, and took my scorned heart with me, and all the 1,000 eyes of heaven were bright with sorrow, came and led me back to thee. I turned my weary eyes toward the sun. Out of the leaden east like smoke came he. I laughed and said, "The night is past and done." But sorrow came and led me back to thee. I turned my face towards the rising moon. Out of the south she came most sweet to see. She smiled upon my eyes that loathed the moon. But sorrow came and led me back to thee. I bent my eyes upon the summer land, and all the painted fields were ripe for me, and every flower nodded to my hand. But sorrow came and led me back to thee. O love, O sorrow, O desired despair, I turned my feet towards the boundless sea. Into the dark I go, and heed not where, so that I come again at last to thee. It's like Delaware just keeps bringing you back, huh? The Legend of Spinello of Arezzo. Spinello of Arezzo long ago, a cunning painter, made a large design to grace the choir of St. Angelo. Therein he pictured the exploits divine of the Archangel Michael, beautiful exceedingly and wrath most terrible, until at last that holy place was full of warring angels, and that one who fell from the high places of the highest heaven into the deep abyss of lowest hell, he pictured too in mad disaster driven before the conquering hosts of paradise. And him the painter drew in uncouth shape, a foul misshapen monster with fierce eyes, of hideous form, half demon and half ape. And lo, it fell out as he slept one night, his soul, in the sad neutral land of dreams that lies between the darkness and the night, was ware of one whose eyes were soft as beams of summer moonlight, and withal as sad. Dark was his color, and as black his hair as hyacinths by night. His sweet lips had a curve as piteous as sweet lovers wear when they have lost their loves. So fair was he, so melancholy, yet withal so proud. He seemed a prince whose woes might have moved a tree to find a fearful voice and weep aloud. He spoke. His voice was tunable and mellow, but soft, as are the western winds that stir the summer leaves, and thus he said, "Spinello, why dost thou wrong me? I am Lucifer." I wonder who Spinello was. That would be good to know. Spring. Well, we know Bosie loves summer and hates winter. Let's see what he has to say about spring. Wake up again, sad heart. Wake up again. I heard the birds this morning singing sweet. Wake up again. The sky was crystal clear and washed quite clean with rain. And far below my heart stirred with the year inside. O pallid feet, move now at last. O heart that sleeps with pain, rise up and hear the voices in the valleys. Run to meet the songs and shadows. Oh, wake up again. Put out green leaves, dead tree, put out green leaves. Last night the moon was soft and kissed the air. Put out green leaves, the moon was in the skies all night. She wakes and weaves. The dew was on the grass like fairies' eyes, O tree so black and bare. Remember all the fruits, the full-grown sheaves, for nothing dies. The songs that are silences that were. Summer was winter, oh, put out green leaves. Break through the earth, pale flower, break through the earth. All day the lark has sung a madrigal. Break through the earth that lies not lightly yet, and waits thy patient birth. Waits for the jonquil and the violet. Full soon the heavy pall will be a bed, and in the noon of mirth some rivulet will bubble in my wilderness. Some call will touch my silence, oh, break through the earth. Hello, Ashley. What do you think of that poem? It's called Spring. Okay, ennui, and that is French for boredom. Alas, and oh, that spring should come again upon the soft wings of desired days, and bring with her no anodyne to pain, and no discernment of untroubled ways. There was a time when her yet distant feet, guessed by some prescience more than half divine, gave to my listening ears such happy warning, that fresh, serene, and sweet, my thoughts soared up like larks into the morning from the dew-sprinkled meadows crystalline, soared up into the heights celestial, and saw the whole world like a ball of fire, fashioned to be a monster playing ball for the enchantment of my young desire. And yesterday they flew to this black cloud, missing the way to those ethereal spheres, and saw the earth a vision of affright, and men a sordid crowd, and felt the fears, and drank the bitter tears, and saw the empty houses of delight. The sun has sunk into a moonless sea, and every road leads down from heaven to hell. The pearls are numbered on youth's rosary. I have outlived the days desirable. What is there left? And how shall dead men sing unto the loosened strings of love and hate, or take strong hands to beauty's ravishment? Who shall devise this thing, to give high utterance to miscontent, or make indifference articulate? Hey, glad you liked the poem. Yeah, these are pretty interesting. You know, it's crazy because Bosie, Lord Alfred Douglas, he was descended from all these people who had, I don't know, violent people, people who were committing suicide all the time, people just street brawlers, and yet Bosie himself lived to be in his mid-70s. So even though he had the bad streak, he somehow managed to survive to an elderly age, so that it says something, I guess. Wine of Summer. The sun holds all the earth and all the sky from the gold throne of this midsummer day. In the soft air, the shadow of a sigh breathes on the leaves and scarcely makes them sway. The wood lies silent in the shimmering heat, save where the insects make a lazy drone. And ever and anon from some tree near a dove's enamored moan, or distant rocks, faint cawing, harsh and sweet, comes dimly floating to my listening ear. Right in the wood's deep heart I lay me down, and look up at the sky between the leaves. Through a delicate lace I see her deep blue gown. Across a fern a scarlet spider weaves. From branch to branch a slender silver thread, and hangs there shining in the white sunbeams, a ruby, tremulous on a streak of light. And high above my head one spray of honeysuckle sways and dreams, with one wild honeybee for acolyte. My nest is all untrod and virginal the path that led me here. For all along the grass grew straight and tall, and live things rustled in the thicket near. And briar rose stretched out to sweet briar rose, wild, slender arms, and barred the way to me, with many a flowering arch rose, pink or white, as bending carefully, leaving unbroken all their blossoming bows, I passed along, a reverent neophyte. The air is full of soft imaginings. They float unseen beneath the hot sunbeams like tired moths on heavy velvet wings. They droop above my drowsy head like dreams, the hum of bees, the murmuring of doves, the soft faint whispering of unnumbered trees mingle with unreal things. And low and deep from visionary groves imagined lutes make voiceless harmonies, and false flutes sigh before the gates of sleep. O rare sweet hour, O cup of golden wine, the night of these my days is dull and dense, and stars are few. Be this the anodyne of many woes, this perfect recompense I thought that I had lost forevermore. The sense of this ethereal drunkenness, this fierce desire to live, to breathe, to be, but even now, no less than in the merry noon that danced before my tedious night, I taste its ecstasy. Taste and remember all the summer days that lie like golden reflections in the lake of vanished years. Unreal but sweet always, soft luminous shadows that I may not take into my hands again, but still discern drifting like gilded ghosts before my eyes. Beneath the waters of forgotten things, sweet with faint memories and mellow with old loves that used to burn dead summer days ago like fierce red kings. And this hour too must die. Even now the sun droops to the sea, and with untroubled feet the quiet evening comes. The day is done. The air that throbbed beneath the passionate heat grows calm and cool and virginal again. The color fades and sinks to somber tones, as when in youthful cheeks a blush grows dim. Hushed are the monotones of doves and bees, and the long flowery lane rustles beneath the wind in playful whim. Gone are the passion and the pulse that beat with fevered strokes, and gone the unseen things that clothed the hour with shining raiment meet, to deck enchantments and imaginings. No joy is here, but only neutral peace, and loveless languor and indifference, and faint remembrance of lost ecstasy. The darkening shades increase. My dreams go out like tapers. I must hence. Far off I hear night calling to the sea. It seems like he's going into more and more complex, longer verses, more complex rhyme schemes. So that's interesting. These verses are long. I wonder if he uses. It looks like he uses different formulas every time. I don't know. I do like the idea of making these mathematical formulas to create complex verses. It really builds in a lot of structure. It makes a lot of decisions for you, but you can create a lot of variety that way. Ode to Autumn. Thou sombre lady of down-bended head and weary lashes drooping to the cheek, with sweet, sad fold of lips uncomforted, and listless hands more tired with strife than meek. Turn here thy soft brown feet, and to my heart, unmatched to summer's golden minstrelsy, of spring's shrill pipe of joy, sing once again sad songs, and I to thee well tuned will answer that according part that jarred with those young seasons' gladder strain. Give me thy empty branches for the biers of perished joys, thy winds to sigh my sighs, thy falling leaves to count my falling tears, and all thy mists to dim my aching eyes. There is no comfort in thy lips, and none in thy cold arms, nor pity in thy breast, but better 'tis in great grey hours to have grief than to affront the sun with sunless woe, when every flower and leaf conspires to make the season merriest. The drip of raindrops on the sodden earth, the trampled mud-stained grass, the shifting leaves, the silent hurrying birds, the sickly birth of the red sun in misty skies, The sheaves of rotting, ruined corn, the sudden gusts of angry winds, the clouds that fly all night before the storming moon, the desolate moans, all thy decays and rusts, thy death and dirges, these are tuned aright to my unquiet soul that sorrow owns. But thy gentler mood, the honeyed kiss of thy faint watery sunshine, thy pale gold, thy dark red berries, and the ambergris that paints the lingering leaves, while on the mould their dead make bronze and sepia carpetings that lightly rustle in thy quiet breath. These are the shadows of departed smiles, the ghosts of happy things. These break again the broken heart, the whiles that goest on to winter, aye to death. Ernie, don't worry about it, everybody does it. Okay, Harmonie du soir, harmony of the night. From the French of Baudelaire. Voici venir le temps. Here we see the time. Is it venir? Is it see? I think. Now is the hour when, swinging in the breeze, each flower like a censer sheds its sweet. The air is full of scents and melodies, O languorous waltz, O swoon of dancing feet. Each flower like a censer sheds its sweet. The violins are sad souls that cry, O languorous waltz, O swoon of dancing feet. A shrine of death and beauty is the sky. The violins are like sad souls that cry, poor souls that hate the vast black night of death. A shrine of death and beauty is the sky. Drowned in red blood, the sun gives up his breath. This soul that hates the vast black night of death takes all the luminous past back tenderly. Drowned in red blood, the sun gives up his breath. Thine image, like a monstrance, shines in me. That's another one of those where it repeats lines at certain intervals. I like that. That's pretty interesting. The mathematical aspect of it, I think, is interesting. Le Balcon, from the French of Baudelaire. Mère de souvenirs, maîtresse de maîtresse. Mother of memories. O mistress queen. O, all my joys and all my duty thou. The beauty of caresses that have been. The evenings and the hearth remember now, mother of memories, O mistress queen. The evenings burning with the glowing fire, and on the balcony the rose-stained nights. How sweet, how kind you were, my soul's desire. We said things wonderful as chrysolites, when evening burned beside the glowing fire. How fair the sun is in the evening, how strong the soul, how high the heaven's high tower. O first and last of every worshipped thing, your odorous heart's blood filled me like a flower. How fair the sun is in the evening. The night grew deep between us like a pall, and in the dark I guessed your shining eyes and drank your breath, O sweet honey gall. Your little feet slept on me sister-wise. The night grew deep between us like a pall. I can call back the days desirable, and live all bliss again between your knees. For where else can I find that magic spell save in your heart and in your mysteries? I can call back the days desirable. These vows, these scents, these kisses infinite, will they, like young suns climbing up the skies, rise up from some unfathomable pit, washed in the sea from all impurities? O vows, O scents, O kisses infinite. Wow, that's probably the most amorous we've read so far. That's That's pretty tasty. I mean, I can think of one of Oscar's poem that gets a little bit tasty, but not this tasty. Um, that's lovely. The Ballad of Saint Vitus. Vitus came tripping over the grass when all the leaves and the trees were green. Through the green meadows he did pass on the day he was full 17. The lark was singing up over his head, and he went by so lithe and fleet, and the flowers danced in white and red at the treading of his nimble feet. His neck was brown as the brown earth is, when first the young brown ploughboys delve it, and his lips were as red as mulberries, and his eyes were like the soft black velvet. His silk brown hair was touched with bronze, and his brown cheeks had the tender hue that like a dress the brown earth dons when the pink carnations bloom anew. He was slim at the reeds that sway all along the banks of the lake, and as straight as a rush, and as he passed he sang a song, and his voice was as sweet as the voice of a thrush. He sang of the garden of paradise and the light of God that never grows dim, and the cherubim with their radiant eyes and the rainbow wings of the seraphim, and the host as countless as all days that worships there and ceases not, singing and praising God always with lute and float and angelot. And the blessed light of Mary's face as she sits among these pleasant sounds, and Christ that is the Prince of Grace, and the 5 red flowers that be his wounds. And so he went till he came to the doors of the ivory house of his father the king, and all through the golden corridors as he passed along he ceased to sing. But a pagan priest had seen him pass, and heard his voice as he went along through the fields of the bending grass, and he heard the words of the holy song. And he sought the king where he sat on his throne, and the tears of wrath were in his eyes, and he said, O sire, be it known that thy son singeth in this wise of that blessed light of Mary's face as she sits amidst sweet pleasant sounds, and how that Christ is the Prince of Grace, and hath 5 flowers that be his wounds. And when the king had heard this thing, his brow grew black as a winter night, and he bade the pages seek and bring straightway the prince before his sight. And Vitus came before the king, and the king cried out, I pray thee, son, sing now the song that thou didst sing when thou camest through the fields anon. And the face of the prince grew white as milk, and he answered not, but under the band that held his doublet of purple silk round his slight waist, he thrust his hand. And the king picked up a spear and cried, What hast thou there by the waters of Styx? Speak, or I strike. And the boy replied, Sweet sire, it is a crucifix. And the king grew black with rage and grief, and for a full moment he spake no word. And the spear in his right hand shook like a leaf, and the vein on his brow was a tight blue cord. Then he laughed and said in bitter scorn, Take me this Christian fool from my sight. Lock him in the turret till the morn, and let him dance alone tonight. He shall sit in the dark, while the courtly ball all the gay night sweeps up and down on the polished floor of this golden hall, and thus shall we win his martyr's crown. Thus spake the king, and the courtiers smiled, and Vitus hung his head for shame, and he thought, I am punished like a child that would have died for Christ's dear name. And so it was done, and on that night, while silken sword with fan and flower danced in the hall in the golden light, Prince Vitus sat in the lone dark tower. But the king bethought him and was moved ere the short summer night was done, and his heart's blood yearned for the son he loved, his dainty prince, his only son. And all alone he climbed the stair with the tired feet of a sceptred king, and came to the door, and lo, he was ware of the sound of flute and lute playing. And as the king stood there amazed, the iron door flew open wide, and the king fell down on his knees as he gazed at the wondrous thing he saw inside. For the room was filled with a soft sweet light of ambergris and apricot, and round the walls were angels bright with lute and flute and angelot. On lute and angelot they played with their gold heads bowed upon the strings, and the soft wind that the slim flutes made stirred in the feathers of their wings. And in the midst, serene and sweet, with God's light in his countenance, was Vetus, with his gold-shod feet dancing in a courtly dance. And round him were archangels four, Michael, who guards God's citadel, Raphael, whom children still implore, and Gabriel and Uriel. Thus long ago was Christ's behest, and the saving grace that his red wounds be, unto this king make manifest, and all his land of Sicily. God sits within the highest heaven, his mercy neither tires nor faints. All good gifts that may be given he gives unto his holy saints. This was the joy that Vetus gat, to dance with angels knee by knee. Before he came to man's estate, God sends us all such company. So here again is like there's like a tension between the pagan and the Christian. You know, and Oscar was like that too. You know, one minute he's talking about Pan, the oh great goat god, come back to your people, and the next day it's like, oh Jesus Christ and everything. And Bosie is doing the same thing here. In one poem he's like, you know, I don't want Christ and I want Apollo and he doesn't want me. And now, I don't really understand. There's a lot of Christianity and paganism, like just living side by side. Dogs and cats living together. Anyway, okay. The City of the Soul. In the salt terror of a stormy sea, there are high altitudes the mind forgets, and undesired days are hunting nets to snare the souls that fly eternity. But we, being gods, will never bend the knee, though sad moons shadow every sun that sets, and tears of sorrow be like rivulets to feed the shallows of humility. Within my soul are some mean gardens found, where drooped flowers are and unsung melodies, and all companioning of piteous things. But in the midst is one high terraced ground, where level lawns sweep through the stately trees, and the great peacocks walk like painted kings. What shall we do, my soul, to please the king, seeing he hath no pleasure in the dance, and hath condemned the honeyed utterance of silver flutes and mouths made round to sing? Along the wall red roses climb and cling, and O my prince, lift up thy countenance, for there be thoughts like roses that entrance more than the languors of soft lute playing. Think how the hidden things that poets see in amber eves or mornings crystalline hide in the soul their constant quenchless light, till called by some celestial alchemy, out of forgotten depths they rise and shine like buried treasure on midsummer night. The fields of fantasy are all too wide. My soul runs through them like an untamed thing. It leaps the brooks like threads and skirts the ring where fairies danced and tenderer flowers hide. The voice of music has become the bride of an imprisoned bird with broken wing. What shall we do, my soul, to please the king? We that are free, with ample wings untied. We cannot wander through the empty fields till beauty like a hunter hurl the lance. There are no silver snares and springs set, nor any meadow where the plain ground yields. O let us then with ordered utterance forge the gold chain and twine the silken net. Each new hour's passage is the acolyte of inarticulate song and syllable, and every passing moment is a bell to mourn the death of undiscerned delight. Where is the sun that made the noonday bright, and where is the midnight moon? Oh, let us tell, in long carved lines and painted parable, how the white road curves down into the night, only to build one crystal barrier against this sea, which beats upon our days, to ransom one lost moment with a rhyme, or if fate cries and grudging gods demur, to clutch life's hair and thrust one naked phrase like a lean knife between the ribs of time. To clutch life's hair and thrust one naked phrase like a lean knife between the ribs of time. Stabbing time in the ribs. That's pretty interesting. Because I didn't catch most of this poem because I was too busy thinking about, like, having pagan and Christian themes within the same poet. And I really think it's because, like, in this day and age, people who are into Christianity are like, only Christianity, only a narrow parameters of their own particular version of Christianity, and anything else is like evil. And then on the other side of it, people who are into the pagan thing, you know, especially people who may be reacting to some of that dogmatism of Christianity, would not talk about any Christian subjects while in their pagan thing. So it's like there's like a divide between the two that didn't used to be there. And I also know that, like, in early Christianity, you know, people were practicing magic, and a lot of in mythology, a lot of figures were combined together. So you hear, I don't know all the details, but like myths get combined together, and that happened with Christianity too. Like holidays were assimilated. Anyway, so I'm just trying to make sense of this. It obviously, it was common for people to be interested in Christianity and paganism at the same time, even though nowadays it's kind of taboo. So okay, we'll leave this here for tonight, and come back tomorrow to finish up, hopefully, Bosie's poems. And so thank you for letting me read to you. Please check the description for where to buy my art, or my channel page to send me a one-time donation, and I will see you later.